According to a recent study by researchers at the University of California, Irvine, more than 400,000 people live in parts of Los Angeles County that could be inundated with a foot or more of floodwater in a 100-year flood event, the kind that has a 1% chance of occurring in any year.
Now, the analysis found that black residents of the county were 79% more likely than white residents to be living at risk of deep flooding or at least 3 feet or about waist high. The study's models show that almost 200,000 and just under 900,000 people and between $36 billion and $108 billion in property value lay within the 100-year flood zone. The impact would be comparable to those of major hurricanes like Katrina, Sandy, or Harvey.
A black graduate at BT whose manager joked that she could be deported has won more than 20,000 pounds after suing the company for racial harassment. Fignola Alexandra was left deeply distressed and humiliated by a joke boss Craig Warner made about her visa extension application. The tribunal heard that Warner also shocked Alexandra and another black employee by suggesting the fact there weren't many black swimmers because of class. At a hearing to determine Alexandra's compensation, Judge Slater said, quotes, "We accept the evidence given by Ms. Alexandra that she found this joke about deportation utterly humiliating." The judge added that the swimming comment was particularly hurtful because of the topic of swimming in the black community, specifically in the U.S., is linked with a painful history of racism.
The GoFundMe for Keenan Anderson, a black man tased and killed by LA police, has raised more than $29,000. The account was created to help the family pay for funeral and memorial expenses. Now, according to an LAPD police report, officers struggled with Anderson for several minutes, utilizing a taser, body weight, firm grips, and joint locks to overcome resistance. Family and friends of Anderson believe he was experiencing a mental health crisis and needed help. Instead, the police treated him like a criminal rather than a victim of a car accident. Anderson is the cousin of Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrice Cullors and was a dedicated high school teacher and father.
Many black homeowners who suspect that discrimination led to an unfair appraisal of their house could request a review and a potential do-over under a federal proposal that will likely go into effect this year. U.S. Housing and Urban Development Secretary Marcia Fudge recently announced a new review process which includes racial discrimination as a reason for a review. It comes as a part of a push from the Biden administration to root out racism in appraisals. This would be the first time that HUD has specifically cited bias or violations of fair housing laws as a legitimate cause for flagging and potentially scrapping an appraisal. The plan is currently under review and open for public feedback through February 2nd. HUD officials say they hope to finalize its language and implement it in the next 60 days. And this is a really important step forward.
It is.
The Fair Housing Act, which is one of the crown jewels of the civil rights movement's legislative achievements. This is adding flesh to that. And so we saw the previous HUD secretary that, was trying to do the opposite of what the current HUD secretary is seeking to do. And this is going to make a material difference in the lives of black homeowners and would-be homeowners, if not for the racial bias in the appraisal process. And so, this is, government at work at its finest.
I'm hoping so. I am hoping so. I don't want to be a skeptic here, but much like the talk of reparations, it's going to take a lot of planning, a lot of execution, and big numbers, because I don't know if you can ever put a number on what we've been robbed of. No more so than you can put, action in place to kind of give back what black potential homeowners may have lost out on. And I'm talking over the years, how we've been disenfranchised. There are studies that have been done, the statistics, even couples who have taken matters into their own hands to prove by switching up ownership and redesigning homes to show as if a white couple was there, and then all of a sudden these appraisals went up hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it's a great step. I hope it becomes enough, but theoretically speaking, I don't think it ever becomes enough. But I like with these small steps how they are messaging an effort to right the wrong, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, moving on. Public health officials say they have found 2 cases of gonorrhea that appear to resist every kind of antibiotic available to treat it. It's the first time strands of gonorrhea, this resistant to antibiotics, have been identified here in the U.S. Now, increased sexual activity during the pandemic, coupled with fewer people getting routine health screenings, supercharged the spread of sexually transmitted infections around the world. Globally, infections that are resistant to antibiotics kill approximately 700,000 people a year. Sources say that number is expected to rise to 10 million deaths per year by 2050 if steps aren't taken to stop the spread of these resistant organisms.
More mental health services are coming to Houston thanks to more than $1 million in federal funding. The grant will allow the IBN Sena Foundation to expand current services and facilities specializing in behavioral health. It's one of the few places in Houston combining medical care with mental health care. Statistics show 1 in 5 adults will experience mental illness this year alone.
And after 7 years as Houston's mayor, Sylvester Turner will be passing the torch to a new mayor at the end of this year. In this exclusive interview, Fox 26's Jonathan Martin talked with Turner about the priorities during his final year in office.
This was all flooded during Harvey.
This was flooded. This was 21 Memorial. And it's still going to be 21 Memorial. And when it's done, those seniors who were there have the first right of refusal to come back.
Houston Mayor Sylvester Turner is proud of progress on the rebuild of this affordable senior living complex on Memorial that was ravaged by Harvey.
This is a part of the plan to build 7,000 multifamily units by the end of my term, by the end of this year.
It's a priority as Turner now enters his final year as mayor. While he touts success over the past 7 years in areas like reducing homelessness and pension reform, will he be able to tackle big issues still facing the city, like a growing police officer shortage and illegal dumping? We've also got some street projects, some drainage projects that have yet to be complete. There's also a cancer cluster in 5th Ward. Neighbors are furious about it. You've got a year left in office. Where is your focus? What's the priority?
But let me just say this. No mayor finishes every single thing.
But you've got to have a priority list.
I do have a priority list, and if you were in my office, you will see the list.
Topping that list is public safety. The mayor says the $44 million One Safe Houston crime reduction plan is working, with violent crime trending down in the past year, and another cadet class in line to put more officers on the street.
There are 115 cadets going through our police cadet classes to add to the number that we already have.
While his administration has helped to greatly reduce Houston's homeless population, he says this year the goal is decommissioning remaining encampments across the city and not open another shelter, but a navigation center to help get people back on their feet.
Now, that's not saying you won't see any homeless people on the street, but we still want to reduce that. It's roughly under 3,000.
The mayor promises 22 parks will see major upgrades before his term is complete. And he says the solid waste department continues working overtime to address illegal dumping. But with no city garbage fee and a revenue cap, he says there's only so much leaders can do. And for neighbors in 5th Ward who have waited for decades to see cleanup of a cancer cluster the state found, Turner says the city and county are preparing to go to court if Union Pacific doesn't step up and take responsibility and clean up the toxic site.
Right now, the lawyers are at the table, but if we don't see any progress, any real progress soon, we will move forward on the lawsuit against Union Pacific.
Mayor Turner also points out his administration has faced some unprecedented challenges like Hurricane Harvey and the pandemic. But again, he admits that there is a lot of work that still needs to be done. He did not say who he would endorse to be Houston's next mayor. In the newsroom, I'm Jonathan Martin, Fox 26 News.
In addition, Turner also says he wants to highlight community facilities set to open in underserved areas that are part of his Complete Communities program, which seeks to restore equity in 10 historically neglected neighborhoods in the Quarter Line. That's a pretty aggressive agenda. You know how quickly a year will come and go. But I like that he told reporter Jonathan Martin, "Hey, I got a list. You want to see it? Come to my office." He really touched on a lot of those topics within that interview, but I'm sure that list is pretty. It sounds like that list is pretty long.
Yeah, and what's so great about this is, oftentimes for not just mayors but any elected official in their final year in office, oftentimes that is the year where they're doing their victory lap, and they are on a tour to promote what they've already done. And so part of what we can glean from this report on Mayor Turner is that he's going to keep working until the final minute he's in office. I mean, with that very ambitious list of things that are afoot, cleaning up a cancer cluster, decreasing the homeless population, opening a navigation center for the homeless. These are not easy things to do. These are not quick fixes. And so, I appreciate his commitment to public service, and I also appreciate how engaged the community is in terms of pushing Mayor Turner and asking him to deliver on these things that were promised. And clearly we hear the mayor also managing expectations as well.
That's true, and I think he's been doing something right for the past 7 years. He's been reelected, and Houston is rivaling Atlanta when you talk about folks relocating. I know maybe about a handful of folks who've chosen Houston as this new place to begin a new life or get a fresh start or continue with their careers. And so it has become really a hot spot. And so there's no doubt that he's done some great work, and he apparently has more great work to do before he steps aside. So we'll keep our eye on that. Coming up, the importance of Black history in American classrooms.
That's right. After the break, we take a deeper dive into the move to deny an AP African American Studies class. You're watching Fox Soul's Black Report. We'll be right back after this.
Oh, that gets you hot.